singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly all your life. You were only waiting for this moment to arise.
Hi everybody, thanks so much for joining us. I'm Josh Powers, your host, and I'm here to interview Lois Rosenwald, who plays a huge role at the Connecticut Autism Spectrum Resource Center, which is where all of us are from. But first, I want to let you know how unique tonight's program is if you haven't been with us before. All of our production crew on set today here at Cox Studio are on the autism spectrum, and it's truly a unique experience to have everyone here, and they all do an amazing job. So now please welcome with me Lois Rosenwald, who is the Executive Director of the Connecticut ASRC. So welcome. Thank you so much for being with us.
Nice to be here. It's a pleasure to be here.
So we've heard a lot about you. You've actually never been on set with us, though.
No, I haven't.
But you're the big head honcho back
well,
at ASRC. What
I don't
can we
know
say?
about that. I don't know. I'm the executive director, but believe me, the support staff keeps me going.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's a big group effort.
Absolutely,
it seems.
absolutely.
So I understand though that before all this happened, you were an owner of your own business. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
So tell us about that. What did
I
you
owned
do before?
a couple of vision centers
and
for a long time, and I saw the need. There was absolutely nothing happening for parents of children on the autism spectrum. There wasn't any agency in place. There wasn't any private or public.
Okay.
And there really wasn't any place for parents to come to get information. And so what we did was we started a network, a support network in the greater New Haven area at the time. And from that, it just grew. We started this support network, and we found that both families and professionals were coming to get information. We found that school personnel were coming, and we said, well, let's try doing some training, which we did. And from there, things just built and built and built until we reached a point where we really needed a center, a place that people could call, a place that people could come. And so we began the process of raising money to do that.
Wow. So what brought that, what prompted you to start it? I mean, you owned a vision center, basically.
Yeah.
What prompted you, what made you realize that, the autistic community, parents and the kids needed some sort of support? What prompted that?
I saw people coming and talk to people. I saw people traveling, to Hamden from all over the state of Connecticut because we were it. And I saw the need, and I knew that if I didn't do it, no one was going to do it. It hadn't been done to that point. And so, and I enjoyed the work. So I just decided one day that this is what I was going to do, and I put my businesses up for sale, and started this. And
you started it. Wow. So what does it involve? What did it involve to get to the point it is now? I mean, it sounds like it just kept building one thing after the other. I mean, you didn't really plan on it becoming
absolutely not.
You know what I mean? A real, full-on organization. What were the steps? I mean, what was that one step that finally bumped it up, and now it was the ASRC of Connecticut kind of thing?
I don't know that there was one step. I think that it was a slower process, than that. I think that, we just kept evolving as the needs, were there. We found ourselves moving from, doing support to moving to doing training, and from doing training to doing services, and on and on. And, we would find there was a need, and no one was sort of picking it up and doing it, so we would decide, yep, let's do that. So that's sort of, we've never had any master plan. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Yeah.
But we haven't. Up until recently, and I think in the last probably year or two, we've begun to really look at the direction we should be taking. But prior to that, we really just went where the needs were. And the needs, primarily in the beginning were resources. Both, providing resources to families and to professionals, and helping to create resources, seed resources, putting people together, trying to help develop resources.
Okay. So it really started as a big networking thing almost?
Absolutely.
I mean, it was just getting together was helpful enough to those parents and to those kids and that kind of thing.
Well, you know, the problem was that it wasn't all they needed, and that's
Right.
how the center came to be. They needed more and more and more. You know, unlike other disability groups, we didn't have a central place. You know, we didn't have an agency that was servicing our families. So there really, you know, people would get the diagnosis, and professionals really didn't have any place to send them for more information, more training. And so they were really in crisis, and still are to a certain extent. We're still, you know, building on that, not just our agency, but others now, and state and public.
Okay. Now, I know you do a lot of programs. There's a lot of different programs at ASRC, and I've heard of the program transition plans for individuals with the autism spectrum disorder. So do you mind just sharing about this one program? I know there's a ton of programs that you offer, but give us a little...
Well, you know, I'm not quite sure what you're alluding to. I think that you're asking about transition services that we do. Is that correct? We do. We've started in the last probably 2 years providing services for kids that would be between the ages of about 14 to 18 around the area of transition. And what that really means is that, you know, we really have to start to think about how to get our folks from, you know, school to the rest of their lives. And we have to not do that magically. We have to really, it's a process. And we have to start to plan very early on. In fact, we really should be looking at it much before 14. We should be probably looking at it at around the age of 8 or 9 and start to plan the steps. And so we realized that the schools were not doing this. And there really were very limited services out there. And so we've brought on a new person to the center whose background is in transition, who was an administrator with one of the schools here in Connecticut, who retired, who has a lot of background in autism. And she will provide help to families and to districts, school districts, in putting together the appropriate, and I think that's really the key word, the appropriate services to get our folks from there to there.
Okay. It's customized for every, you know, that's her job. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Individualized. It's for every person.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of programs at ASRC. There's also workshops, you know, among other things. I just wanted to hear from you, what specific workshops have you been involved in? I know you're busy and you don't do a ton of those anymore, but
no, I really don't.
What have you specifically had your hand in workshops?
In terms of presenting?
Yeah. And
I really don't. In the beginning, I did more than I'm doing now, but we really try to bring in the best minds we can to every single workshop that we do. We bring a lot of folks, both here in Connecticut and out of state in. For instance, right now we're doing a series for individuals, older teens and adults on the spectrum, a series of workshops, which is unique. There are not a lot of places that offer training and workshops for folks on the spectrum. They offer it for families, but not necessarily for the individuals. And we've been doing that now for about 4 years. We offer workshops around sexuality, dating, internet use, self-advocacy training, and we really bring in the best people that we can find. And they're not easy to find because there's not a lot of expertise out there having to do with teenagers and adults. And we will bring them in specifically to do a specific workshop.